Hi everyone, Christina here. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be creating a few cards, actually, 3 cards out of this background stamp here. This is the Delicate Outline Flowers background stamp from Simus's Stamp. If these flowers look familiar to you, there is a stamp set that was part of a card kit a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, that had these flowers. So what I did for this background stamp is I combined all those flowers into a background, and now you could use them all together and you don't have to do a lot of masking or anything like that. It makes it really fast and easy. Now the idea behind these cards today is a black and white background with stripes of watercolor over the top. And I'm going to be showing you a couple different ways to do those stripes today. And because I'm going to be making 3 cards, I'm going to stamp this background twice. So I'm going to have 2 different sheets of watercolor paper that I'm working with, and I'm going to be showing you 2 different ways to color the stripes. Now I'm using some Fabriano Artistico extra white cardstock, or I should say watercolor paper. So because it's so textured, I did stamp this background multiple times to get a really good impression. So for the first stripe method, I'm doing some diagonal stripes. I'm kind of eyeballing the width on them. They're about a 1/4 inch wide. And I'm going to have a diagonal stripe of rainbow colors going across this background. For the other background, I'm going to take this heart die from the Nested Hearts die set from Simon, and I'm going to be cutting out 2 hearts out of this so I can get 2 cards out of this one design. And because I want to maximize the space, I'm just penciling on those hearts before I start painting so that I know exactly where the hearts will later be cut out. This is just going to give me an idea of how they're going to be finished in the long run. So then after I had my hearts kind of sketched on, I then put little tick marks using my T-square ruler at every 1/2 inch. And then I use my T-square ruler to draw in those stripes. So I'm going to have stripes painted all the way across this background. It's not just one little section like that first piece that I worked on. So now I'm back to the diagonal stripes, and I've taped it down. And then I also have these wide straight stripes. I'm using my Mijello Mission Gold paints today, and I'm going to be using very traditional rainbow colors, but I think this would equally be beautiful with just springtime colors or just bright summer colors. Maybe even if you have like some colors that are more on the neon side, it would be absolutely beautiful. Or if you wanted to modify this sort of look and technique, you could do this with strips of cardstock or even stamp large border stamps just to get those stripes of color. So I started out by painting the red on each one of these. And I switched between backgrounds for this because since I had red paint on my brush, I might as well do both. After the red was complete, I moved on to the yellow. So I just skipped over that orange stripe so that I could continue painting and let the red stripe dry. So after I finished all of the yellow, then I'm going to move on to the blue. So I'm going to skip the green stripe and go to the blue. This is going to give those colors a chance to dry before I move on to the colors that connect to them. These paints are fairly thick. I'm not watering them down a whole lot. They're just thick enough that I can get the paint moving across the paper. By the way, I did stamp these background images in Versafine Onyx black ink. Just so you are aware, it was a black waterproof pigment ink. Used my heat tool to dry those stripes that weren't quite dry yet, and then moved on to painting the last few colors. So I'm painting on that orange, and then I did the rest of the orange on this striped background, and I moved to the diagonal stripe where I put the orange there as well. So this one in particular, you're going to have that black and white design preserved, and then just have the stripe of color right through the center. I then moved on to the green shade. This is a nice true grass green. Goes really, really well with these other colors. And I'm just putting that all the way on there. So like I said before, you could definitely do this in different ways. I think it would also look absolutely beautiful if you did the same colors, but just watered them down so that they were a little bit more watercolor-esque. You could even vary the shades from edge to edge. Maybe for this purple, it goes from a purple to a pink. It kind of mixes. I think there's a lot of different ways that you could run with this particular idea. So painting on that purple, getting those last few areas, and then I used my heat tool to dry everything. Now notice I didn't paint all the way to that corner. That's because I knew I wouldn't be cutting it out. I already had those hearts kind of traced on there. So I'll remove my watercolor pieces from my hardboards, and then I moved on to die cutting my hearts. Just round those through my die cutting machine, and then I have 2 hearts that are ready for cards. I'm going to cut down the black and white piece to 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. That's going to give me the perfect dimensions to go on a 5x7 card with a nice wide border. Love how that turned out. I love the black and white versus the colorful. I put that on some foam adhesive and then adhered it to a black 5x7 card base. And then I prepped a white card base for my other 2 cards. These are a finished size of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And on one of the cards, I put the heart just directly in the center of the card front. And for the other card, I decided it would be kind of fun to turn the card so it was horizontal and then have a band of holographic cardstock. So I cut that holographic cardstock to 5 1/2 wide, and I adhered my heart with some foam tape and then put some tape runner adhesive behind the holographic paper and press that down onto the card front. To finish off these cards, I'm using some new sentiment strips from Kathy Zilski. These are awesome kind of sentiments for Pride this year, and just accepting of everyone in your family, your loved ones, your friends. Thought these were perfect to go on top of these rainbow cards. And those are the cards for today. Just a reminder that the sentiment strips and also that background stamp are brand new products from Simon Says Stamp. They're available over in their shop. There's a bunch of other products that they've just come out with. I will be back on Friday with a brand new card video using the new Lydia Diaz Beach Beauties stamp set. It is so cute. You're gonna love these cards that I prepared for you guys. I hope you'll come back and see those as well. Thanks so much for joining me, and I will see you guys in that video very soon.